Good afternoon, everybody. It's a pleasure for me to be here. There's a really exciting panel coming up, so I'm going to be very short and very brief and just take up a couple of minutes of your time, so I appreciate the fact that you're listening. As Amy said, I'm a senior executive with Gibraltar Finance, which is part of the government of Gibraltar, and what we specialize in is really marketing on the financial services perspective. And about 4 years ago, the minister in charge, Minister Albert Isola, set up a working group that was specifically looked at the blockchain space and ended up with the regulatory framework that we have in place today. So we're looking forward really to a period in which we expect to see continued integration of emerging technologies into industries generally. And Gibraltar has relentlessly focused on the elimination of friction for one new technology in particular, which is blockchain. And we've done that, we think, by introducing very bespoke legislation for this particular space. So the DLT, the Distributed Ledger Technology Regulatory Framework, has been in place and came into effect in January of 2018 and is visible on our regulator's website. So far, we've licensed 7 firms, so this include household names like Huobi, eToro, amongst others, and one in particular, the Gibraltar Block Exchange, which is a spin-off of the Gibraltar Stock Exchange, is now a regulated entity and is able to perform as a blockchain exchange, which I think makes it one of the first in the world to do that. Why are we doing what we're doing, and why have we done what we've done? We believe that good regulation, coupled with robust vetting processes, results in a good foundation for innovation to establish and grow. We don't sit in the camp that thinks that regulation is bad for this particular space, and we think that in fact it aids and supports it. 3 main drivers that we have and are commonplace in anything that we do. One is the protection of the consumer, which is obviously very, very important, and almost standard in every other piece of legislation that you see. We're very keen to protect the reputation of our jurisdiction as well. It's hard won and very easily lost, so that's the second element that we always factor into whatever we do. And we look to enable a platform for the growth and development of innovative firms, particularly in this space. So there's been various distinct approaches to regulation, but we feel that's led to a little bit of a fragmented sector. The challenge with regulation is in achieving the universality. However, one size fits all is not necessarily the answer either. We think that one very important component in terms of growing that particular area is the international cooperation piece, which is why we spend a lot of our time traveling and meeting people in other jurisdictions who have an influence in this particular space. The government role, as we see it, is to create, to modify, to enforce regulations, albeit through a standalone regulatory authority. And be a responsive and nimble in a responsive and nimble fashion. We believe that we are achieving this in the way that we've set out the principle-based approach to the regulations that we have, but we're also finding, not unexpectedly, that in this particular area, that the learning curve is quite steep. So a DLT license in Gibraltar allows a DLT provider to store and transmit value belonging to others using blockchain technology. We're committed to develop a rounded community and form ourselves as a particular hub in this space. And as testament to that, there's a couple of initiatives that we've delivered on. The first one is the NTIE, which is the New Technologies in Education, which is a joint effort between the government, the University of Gibraltar, and private sector firms, some of whom have actually been licensed under our regulatory framework. And it's, one aim is to develop the educational piece within this particular area. We are reaching out to international educational centres to increase that cooperation and that sharing of knowledge. We also recently launched Gant, which is not the clothing company, I hasten to add. It's the Gibraltar Association for New Technologies. So once again, it's a private sector-driven initiative supported by the government. It will act as a representative body for anybody in the new technology space, make representations to government, but also an important and integral part of what it does is to act as an industry spokesman and reach out once again internationally to similar sort of organizations. So what do we have on the horizon, and in particular with today's conversation, the next conversation that's coming up? We're just in the final throes now of creating a similar regulatory framework, but this time for token events. And this will cover utility tokens and security tokens, which are covered by existing legislation, and look at the whole space quite widely. The bill for that is already out. The regulations that support that and really inform the bill will be out very, very shortly, perhaps even this week. After that, once we finish that particular piece of work, we've already started on looking at, once again, bespoke regulations and legislation that will cover the cryptocurrency funds arena, which we think will be quite challenging. But certainly we think that we can create something that will be supportive of the good players in that, and also act as a warning to those that are the bad players, as far as that's concerned. We believe that the future holds many rewards alongside many challenges, and we're very keen to play our part and encourage mainstream adoption. We're looking to reduce that negativity that sometimes surrounds this space and foster an environment of sound regulation. Risk management is an important part of this, and we believe that education and cross-border cooperation can deal with this quite effectively. So thank you very much for your time, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the day, as I'm sure I will. Thank you.